you're here with us today. You are going to gain such insights into the world of becoming that sought after speaker and what kind of value do sales skills lend you in really growing your brand as a speaker, right? And so today we have Doug Dvorak. He is the CEO of DMG International. He's also a sought after speaker, a huge following on LinkedIn, really getting his voice out there, not only to grow his company, but also to create a whole kind of sideline career for himself. So, Doug, I'd love to dive into what made you think, I'm a master at marketing. I'm also going to utilize my voice. Like, how did that merge together for you?
Well, thank you, Antoniette. And it's a high honor and privilege to be on the SPEAKPact podcast. Hello, all speakers. So great question. I was a sales and marketing executive in the technology space. And 2000, I was with a sales executive with IBM, but I had always trained. I was really intrigued by being a consultant and a keynote speaker. So I decided to leave IBM in August of 2001. And the little voice in my head, my brother-in-law, Dave Bratchy, said, "You quit IBM with benefits, pension, steady paycheck to do what?" And I said, yes. And then 9/11 hit, and it was a tough go. Shortly thereafter, I was diagnosed with cancer, and it was a confluence of events that happened. And I learned that the only way out was through. And it was a tough 2 years. But fast forward 22 years later, that experience really gave me the chops to be untethered from a employer. I had to make it work. I had no other choice. And that sense of urgency, cancer diagnosis, no paycheck, no benefits, and my brother-in-law in my head saying, "What did you do?" I had to make it work. Failure was not an option. And fortunate enough for me, I met a National Speakers Association, CSP, CPAE speaker, Roger Dawson. We hired him to do some negotiation. Unfortunately, Roger passed away a few months ago, but he was at the top of his game. And I saw what he did, and we became friends. And I asked him to be my mentor, and he told me what to do. He said, "Join National Speakers Association." And I remember it was August. The meeting was in Austin. It was hot, and I had to cobble together $2,000 to go.
Well, first of all, that's determination and dedication. Austin in August. Austin's a lot of fun, but not so much in August.
Not in August. So I got the money together. He said, "Just go. It'll open your eyes." And I did, and I was amazed. And then he said, "What are you passionate about? What are you good at? And can you speak? Go pick a topic, a subject area that you have expertise in, knowledgeable, and go give it 50 times for free." I said, "What?" Kiwanis, Toastmasters, service organizations. And I did that. And then about the 30-second speech, someone tapped me on my shoulder. "That was really good. What's your fee?" What fee? I get paid for this? And I said, $500. Fine. That was my first booking. So that really was a confluence of events. And I would suggest you don't quit your job. You don't get cancer to embark on a professional speaking or consulting career. But I think the takeaway for me is, if you're trying to do this part-time, that's probably the smartest thing. A paycheck is important. It's a great part-time job. If it's your avocation, initially it's not going to be a vocation. Like any small business, it takes 2 to 3 years. But if you really focus and put in the time, I had my full-time job, 7 to 7 at night with IBM, and then I worked nights and weekends speaking for free. But getting out there and speaking, being passionate, adding value, if you can do that, and I just share with you my story and how it was presented to me, I followed that formula and it worked.
That was golden, Doug. And there's several things I'd like to touch on because you're basically giving the map that a lot of, especially newer speakers, seasoned speakers tend to already know this, even if they came into it not understanding. But newer speakers, they're probably an expert in their field. Maybe they were a CEO at a major, Fortune 100. Maybe they were a pro athlete at one time, or a doctor. You just a high achieving human being thinks, well, I have all of this knowledge. Of course, people are going to want to hire me to keynote. There's a lot of competition out there, and kudos to you to go and speak 50 times, right? And it wasn't until that, I think you said 30 something time before somebody actually came up to you. And that's really where you're collecting data. You're collecting data about yourself. What do I really enjoy talking about? What do people lean into? You're collecting data about the audience. Where do I really see them, their eyes open up and they're tuned in, right? There's just all of this data collecting. What are these organizations really wanting to hear from me, right? And there's no other way to do that than just really get your voice out there and do it. So I love that you had the courage and the tenacity, even in all that you are going through, to do that. I'm very glad to see you here, and whatever happened with that horrible diagnosis, you obviously were a fighter and an overcomer there as well. So that's speaks to your tenacity and your fight. You said something. It said the only way out was through. Can you speak to that just a little bit more before I dive into a couple of the other things that you said?
Sure. For me, when I was diagnosed with cancer, I had a 5-year plan, a 3-year plan, a 1-year plan, quarterly, monthly. I recognized then and there the only way out was through. Fortunately, I had a great healthcare team and support from my family, but I recognized the only thing I could control was my attitude, my intention, and to really address this cancer diagnosis head on to the best of my ability. A lot was out of my control. I got involved in a cancer survivors group, and they had, therapists and cancer specialists, oncologists, and they found a number of things were important to prevent a second recurrence of cancer. Great healthcare team, some experimental, rolled the dice on some experimental or complementary therapies. But the number one, positive attitude. The only thing I could control, however bad I felt, was my attitude. And I recognized each day, if it was only an inch, it was an inch forward. Sometimes I had 2 feet backwards. But as long as I could keep progressing with my attitude, that was a force multiplier for me. And I think as it relates to, speakers that want to go out and speak, go out and speak. As Dave Chappelle says, he's a master of his craft. And if you look at I love going to stand up. If you look at the great comedians, when they walk out, the headliners, they take out their smartphone and they put it on the stool and they get done with their set. They don't go out and party. The good ones go and listen. What was the punchline? Where could I get better? So go out and speak and become a master and student of your craft of public speaking.
Yeah, at any level, right? New level, new you, new level, new audience. Just once you stop being a student, you basically stop being valuable, is in my book. So, Doug, we highly utilize the content within these podcasts in a lot of different ways, in quotes and shorts and clips, and then of course the whole video. I've already gotten 2 quotes from you that we're going to quote you on. And one was what I just said, the only way out is through. That's so key. That tenacity, especially as a speaker. If you don't have tenacity, you'd also said And it takes, I think you said 2 to 4 years. That's my number. It takes 2 to 4 years to really make it happen in a big way. It doesn't mean you're not going to get some speaking engagements, but before you could really quit your day job and really know that that consistent income from speaking is there, it takes a good 2 to 4 years, like any good business. It just kills me. Like, people understand the concept of, you put, $500,000 down or whatever on a franchise, and the franchisee or the franchise seller tells you you're not going to see a profit probably for 5 years, right? 3 years at best. 5 years is more likely. But when it comes to a speaking business, right, a speaking career, the mentality is, I can step in and I'm profitable within 3 months, right? I'm profitable within 6 months. You may have profitable months for sure, but to really be able to say that you are a sustained, profitable speaker, it does take that tenacity that you had up front. So that's the one quote, right? The only way out is through. So if you want it, you can get it, but you just got to stick with it. Your other quote was, the only thing I can control is my attitude and my attention. And it really speaks to that tenacity piece again. If you really understand who you are, who your audience is, that difference that you want to make, and then, yes, the big why, right? To me, in that order: who, what, why. Then you can get through the hard parts, and there's going to be hard parts. There's a lot of competition out there, but it's also one of the most rewarding things you can do. What would your career look like had it not been for you having that courage through all of those trials you were going through to get your voice out there?
Well, I think I could have stayed in technology. I did very well financially, and I was sort of at the first inning of the internet, and it's just exploded now with AI and cloud and um, elastic, everything that's happening in the tech space. So I think I would have been very well compensated, but would I really have been happy? And I think the answer to that question is no. Money is not everything. It gives you options, but I chose to go with my passion. And back in 2001, didn't seem like a great choice. But fast forward now, I'm really enjoying the fruits of my labor. But you brought up an interesting point, 2 to 4 years. Speaking business, it is a business. And one resource that underscored my focus, the expertise beyond Roger Dawson, was a book written 25 years ago by Ellen Weiss, Money Talks.
Hmm.
If you're an aspiring speaker or a seasoned speaker who's plateaued, the content of that book, you can buy it for $5 or less, used on the internet. Money Talks. The other thing, it's a speaking business. If you're in a primary or secondary market, there are free resources for you to build a business, write a business plan. The SBDC, Small Business Development Council, at any large city or that have workshops on writing a business plan, accounting. But if you can look at the speaking business, is this a hobby or is this a business? If you want to make it a full-time business, you have to have the mindset, discipline, write a business plan, and be mindful that it takes time to grow and scale a speaking business. And as you know, the most coveted piece of the speaking business is the keynote. The other suggestion, have multiple income streams. I do keynotes, I do virtual keynotes, virtual trainings, live trainings, coaching, and consulting, and product sales. Have multiple income streams if you can. Don't be a
Such
one.
excellent advice, Doug, because that is it. So that I have an agency and we support speakers,
Yes.
and the ones that we see that have the greatest earnings and the longest longevity, right? The greatest stick-to-itiveness are exactly that they're not only waiting around for those keynote checks. That really done right, the keynote checks are the smallest part of the equation. They're great, but they're the smallest part of the equation. Really, where your bang for your buck is going to come is that audience. And I love that you have that dialed in. I do want to dive a little bit more into that here in a moment. When it comes to your lifestyle, though, you mentioned that you were excellent in your field. You could have continued that. You could have probably gotten a nice pension right at the end of your work days. But your lifestyle and your creativity and just the other pieces of your life that you now have freedom to build and to focus on would have probably gotten lost in that mix. And that is something that's speaking to me. That's a really strong selling point to keeping tenacious when it comes to building the speaking side of your business plan, because it will afford you that ability to be the one in control of your lifestyle.
Exactly. I mean, when I was diagnosed with cancer, the number of things hit me, but time. A friend of mine who just died, Andre, of cancer, when I spoke to him on his deathbed, what can I do for you? What do you want? Doug, I want a vase of time. Health, family, time. Once you're a successful employee, you never want to be, once you're an entrepreneur and an employer successful, you don't want to be an employee again, in my experience. The ability to control my time and where I choose to work and with whom I choose to work. Please don't take that as being cavalier. I'm talking to you now from a ski resort in Idaho where I live. If I worked for a company, I couldn't do that. So if you focus on the speaking business and invest the time, become a master of your craft, you will enjoy the lifestyle, the time element to control your day. That's worth more than $1 million to me. My family, my health, my time.
Yes, and you came face to face with that, with mortality, right? With that, just sitting in a chair and a doctor giving you that diagnosis. You real quick decide what's important and what's not important. And instead of sitting there being sorry for yourself or whatever, being defeated, you basically took that bull by the horns and step through. So that's the kind of inspiration I love to bring to this show, because nothing's going to just happen. You can hire all the bureaus, all the agents, all the agencies, all the courses. But when it comes down to it, your attitude and your own action, I don't think action was the word you utilized, attention, right, is what's going to make or break the fact that you get to that goal, that level of lifestyle and earning potential and impact that you want to get to. So thank you for that. That is so much gold. Tell me a little bit about, you have these different income streams, and you are a sales expert, a leadership expert. Tell me a little bit about what serves what? Does the speaking serve your selling? Or does the selling get you the speaking gigs? Like what's the ecosystem? And at the end of the day, where's the bigger share of your revenue, and how does speaking play into that?
Sure. So the revenue pie, a third keynotes, a third coaching, and a third training. So that is how my gross revenue pie.
And when you say training, it's like going to corporations and maybe speaking to
virtual, or I was just in Singapore with PayPal, so it could be local, virtual, but yes, live, on-site training, coaching, sales, motivation, leadership, sometimes little guest experience. But really, my lane is intrinsic motivation, leadership, and sales excellence. So those are the three pieces of my revenue pie.
Explain intrinsic motivation. What does that mean to you? What does that mean?
Well, as I bring on new team members, coaches, trainers, I'll take can-do over IQ any day. Give me a highly, first and foremost, honesty, integrity, non-negotiable. Give me a good person. But then give me somebody who's high energy, has fire in the belly, and is intrinsically motivated and passionate about their life, their family, and their profession.
Here's another great quote right there. Can do over IQ. And that's how we hire too. I will invest in you to the umpteenth level if you've got the right attitude. So yes, love that. Okay, so 1/3 keynotes, 1/3 coaching, 1/3 training. When you first decided you were going to do this, was your thought process that you were going to rely heavily on the keynoting checks, the checks from the hosts, or did you always know it was going to be an ecosystem, a blend?
It started with keynotes, and the data today is Fred Pryor seminars, Wilson Learning, all those organizations, Maxwell, that certify life coaches and speakers. They're putting out 100,000 certified speakers and life coaches, business coaches every year. Unless you're a marquee rock star brand. So I started with keynotes, and I quickly realized long term that can be a goal, but I needed to have multiple revenue streams. And I started as a motivational speaker, and sure, people want a great motivational speaker, but what business skills? So I tied in sales training, sales coaching, sales speaking. And when I did that, I had enough to live on.
Well, and I'll bet you when everything shut down for us, you had ways to pivot already in place, right? You didn't have to scramble quite as much as maybe the straight keynoter with all of their engagements canceling. You had some ways to pivot. I don't know if you were already online at that point, but at least you had already carved a way for yourself in the training space and the coaching consulting space. So absolutely beautiful marriage of what of the ingredients of the recipe of becoming a sustainable speaker. Okay. Talk to me a little bit about I've heard you say this, and I'd like you to go a little bit deeper into it. What does force multiplier mean to you with regards to life and business? And is life and business two separate things, or what is your philosophy on that?
So force multiplier, find what you love to do and do it the rest of your life. I love speaking, training, running my own global training and consultancy. I'm passionate about it. It's not work. It's a privilege and a passion for me. So, I was on the road for 7 weeks with my wife in Asia, speaking and some fun. There's no other job that I know of that allows me to port my office, my job to these different countries. And we love to travel. And I think, force multiplier is to be successful in the speaking business, starting out, a force multiplier. So that's the personal part of your question. The business part, force multiplier, you have to understand technology. You don't need to write code, but do you have a great website? Is it user-friendly? Does it add value? Does it have good content? Are you leveraging the social media channels, YouTube, X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and is your content good? So having that good website, professional, easily to navigate. Are you building your brand through the social media channels? And have you engaged someone like you that for these speakers that don't have those skills, where you could be a force multiplier, help with their website, social media, introduction to speakers bureaus, So you're part of that force multiplier. But I'd say get a great website. I understand that some resources are expensive and you may not have it. A great way to augment your limited resources, reach out to a local community college or four-year institution. Call the chairman of the marketing department and say, hey, I'm a local business. Do you have any interns? Okay, digital marketing. Work with that young person, mutual exchange of value where they can get some on-the-job skills, building out your website, managing your social media channels. It's win-win, costs you nothing. Or go to someone like you.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Like partnership versus somebody do it for me, or I'm going to do it all by myself. That partnership is going to get you further, faster, longer, right? And when you link arms with the right person or persons and organizations, you mentioned NSA, an absolute, that $1,000 is it's part of your business expense. It's a critical part of your business expense if you're serious about this career. There are
Professionals don't cost, they pay.
Professionals don't cost, they pay. Hey, there's a message coming up with all kinds
if I am an aspiring speaker, am I going to want to spend 40 hours building a website or a one sheet when I can spend $1,000 with you or whatever that fee is? Experience is a great teacher, but the tuition's too high. You've got that experience. Let me pay you. Professionals don't cost, they pay.
Okay, I'm still writing. It's experience is a great tuition. Say that one
No,
again.
Experience is a great teacher, but the tuition is too high.
Okay, you're going to be quoted all over the place. All right, Doug. So really, really great stuff. Tell me a little bit about, so you're an expert in sales, in motivation, in leadership. Have those skills helped you become the sought after speaker that you are? Would somebody who maybe doesn't have a background in sales, would you say reading sales books might not be a bad idea? Tell me a little bit about that. How did your other expertise help you grow as a speaker?
Well, as I shared with you, I tried to be a motivational keynote starting out, and I was eating cat food. I was starving. So I had to look to what were my skill sets, what was the TAM, total addressable market, for sales speakers, keynote speakers, sales coaching, training, and consulting. And that was a much bigger revenue pie. And so my slice got bigger and my earnings got larger.
So good. You have tens of thousands of followers on LinkedIn. Is that the platform you've honed in on, or are you kind of cross-platform? And how important is social media interaction to your speaking career?
Huge. So YouTube, X, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. So, my sort of mantra is, well, let me backtrack. Some people think, oh, it's overwhelming. I can't be a speaker. Hey, I was in tech 20 years ago when you had to have a multi-$10 million data center. You had to have big mainframe, big iron. Now you got the cloud for pennies. You've got YouTube. There's no better, more exciting time to launch a speaking business. So get your website, get your domain name, get your social media presence. And so my I post once a day on LinkedIn. It's content of value. When I'm speaking or training, I'll do a press release in advance. When I'm going to the event, I'll have my camera. I'll shoot a little video, give it to my videographer, put that out, good intro, outro. Then I'll get at the event, client testimonials, put that out there. So you got to feed the monster, and because it's all about those rankings, your digital brand. So
yes,
immensely important.
And I love that you said that you get your testimonials, video testimonials, and right, in our pocket is a much better camera than we could have paid thousands of dollars for even 7 to 10 years ago, right? We've got pretty amazing camera ability right in our pocket, and with little add-ons that you can get from Amazon for almost nothing with the socked microphone, all the things. Do it on the spot, right? Get those testimonials on the spot while everybody's still excited about Doug and what he just brought to the table. And it's just so fun, right? And not just the audience, but also those who were part of organizing the event. Grab them, pull them into a corner, and just say, "Hey, can you just look in? I'm taking my speaking to the next level. Would really just love your honest feedback. Do you mind just sharing your heart?" And just let them go for it. And then when they finish, because you don't want to get them all nervous ahead of time. When they finish, wow, there was some quotable pieces in there. Do you mind if I utilize some of this? No, I don't mind. Okay, they've got that on video now, right? That's the release. And then you just get their first name, their city, or however you do it. So it's all there in that one place. Oh my goodness, how speakers miss that. That alone is payment for your speaking, that valuable revenue from you speaking anywhere are the feedback that you get and the testimonials that you get. And so many speakers just walk in, do their thing, walk out. Do you work the room?
Oh yeah, I'm there the night before. I will have dinner or coffee with the meeting planner. I get there first thing. I do my AV check. I greet them at the front. I stay long and add value. So be good. Be good. You got to be good to get gigs.
Mm-hmm.
Be present and give more than you get.
Give more than you get.
Because I
Okay.
see some speakers that have an ego that won't even fit through the door, and cavalier and this and that. I'm all about humility, service, giving more than I get, and that in and of itself, I don't do it because I want to get more gigs. It's because it's the right thing to do, and the universe pays it back tenfold.
Yes, absolutely. So are you now at the space where opportunities are just coming to you to the level that you want? Like you can't take any more speaking engagements? Or will
Yeah,
you forever need to do a certain amount of outreach to keep your...
no, I'm all about lifestyle now, and the clients I want to work with and who want to work with me, travel and location. So I'm very, very fortunate. Again, please don't take it as being cavalier.
You worked hard to get there. So
Yeah,
there's
it's a great place where I'm at, and
Yes, yes.
I'm working less.
So I think it's Dave Ramsey who says, I'm gonna botch this, but something along the lines of you sacrifice so that you get the life that you want. So of course with him, it's about sacrificing buying that big TV or whatever it is, so you can get to that financial stability that you want. You made a lot of sacrifices on the front end, speaking for free 50 odd times, right? And getting yourself educated and doing all of those things and really putting that elbow grease in. Now you get to really enjoy the fruits of all of that grit and labor that you put in. And I absolutely love that you've gotten yourself to this space. So I know there's a good number of our audience that's going to want to reach out to you, either to have you speak or that consulting piece. Maybe grab your ear and get consulted by you a bit. How do they find you? How do they go about even kind of knocking on your door?
Sure. My website is dougdvorak.com, DougDvorak.com. Email is really simple, Doug@dougdvorak.com, Doug@DougDvorak.com, or my personal mobile phone, 847-359-4600. 6969.
Wow, that was very generous. You have a cell phone, guys. That's pretty incredible. Okay, so tell me a little bit about what kind of person would reach out to you if they wanted consulting. Who is it that you can serve best?
Well, if you are looking to grow and scale your speaking business, I would say call you, because that's what you do. I'm happy to spend 5-10 minutes with some aspiring speakers. So just give me a call. But if your organization or company is looking for a motivational leadership sales keynote speaker or half day, full day sales training, please give me a call for a free 30-minute meeting assessment so we can align my skills message with your learning and development and meeting objectives.
Yes. Okay. All right. So, Doug, this is a pretty interactive show, and those who come are generally high achieving professionals who want to take their voice to the next level. And we're all in this together, right? So we're all in this pact to impact as we grow, as we prosper, as we get that lifestyle that we desire, because the more good we do, the more good we get to do, right? What is your challenge to my audience, to the SpeakPact audience, to those emerging speakers or those speakers who really want to take their careers to the next level? What is something really tactical they can start putting into practice so that they can get to the place where they're living on their favorite mountain and really in control of their lifestyle?
Thank you. So, pack to impact. Number one, if you want to be a professional speaker that gets paid, join Toastmasters International. In your local city, meet twice a month. That's where I cut my teeth. Toastmasters International, step one. If you've got some speaking experience, join the National Speakers Association, your local chapter and national, and go to one or several of their meetings. 3, get the book Money Talks, Alan Weiss, Speaking is a Business. And then go out and speak, polish, perfect, and get good. If you do that, it's a wonderful career that awaits you.
And follow Doug Dvorak on Instagram, LinkedIn. I guess I assume you're on Instagram and the others, but
Instagram,
really
LinkedIn, yes.
Yes. All right, Doug, this was lots of fun. I think I'm on 7 pages of notes, really honing into, I've got at least 5 quotes from you that you'll be seeing all over our social media. You brought so much value today. Thank you for sharing your most precious, unrenewable resource of your time and for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Antoniette.
And for our audience, thank you for being with me and Doug today. I know that if you listened at all, you are definitely walking away with some actionable strategies to grow your speaking career and your business through the power of your voice. So make sure to give us those 5 stars. It helps other people find us. Do the likes, get interactive in the comments. We sure appreciate that. That's our your thank you to us for giving you our time. We are happy to do that, and it just really encourages us to continue doing that. So thank you for joining us at SpeakPact. Ciao, ciao for now.
Ciao, ciao.